Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel here at Doom Productions, home of the No Budget Film School. And House hit 1,000 views. So it's a big milestone for us. Thank you to everyone who has watched and supported us and that movie. I'm just so happy that this weird little movie that Ethan made was just, something that's purely him and just so weird and obscure. I'm glad that it hit a chord with people and 1,000 people have watched it, and that's awesome, and we're really excited about it. And to celebrate, I thought I would do something that I've wanted to do on this channel but just haven't, because I haven't had the right chance or opportunity to do, and that is talk about music in your movies. So this is going to be kind of a long, rambly one. Essentially, I want to break down how I approached the score for the last bit of House. So if you've seen House, spoiler alert, but the end of that movie, most of that movie, there's no sound. It's just, atmosphere, ambience, stuff like that, weird things here and there. But the climax of the movie has a music video section. And you know what? Actually, I can pull that up right here. Where are we? Oh, oops. There we go. So from this point onwards, the end of the movie is all scored, and I did the music for that. So I thought today we'd take a deep dive into how I created that music, and I thought it might be interesting to you folks, might help out other filmmakers who want to create music, who want to create things for their movies, and who don't want to use licensed music or copyright-free music. But yeah, so it'll be a kind of a deep dive for you House fans, but also people who are interested in composing, specifically filmmakers who want to compose. If you want to learn more about actual film composing, I'd recommend watching like Junkie XL's YouTube channel. He's got some great stuff on there. But yeah, remember, no budget film school. This is purely just what's a free software that most people have access to, and it's GarageBand. So let's get started. So I'm just going to start off by playing the full piece that I composed for the movie, and then we'll take a deep dive into breaking the score down. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so that was the entire score. That's what I created that file, gave it off to Ethan, and that's what I gave him. Now it's a little bit different than what's in the movie, and I'll get into why and how that happened. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I think I'm not sure if we talked about this in the behind the scenes for House, but I believe what happened was when Ethan showed me the his cut of the movie. Right here, there was the piano music, that little lone, that kind of noise that's going on right here. This sound was there, and there was like piano notes right there, and there was the record spinning. All of this thing was here, but then from this point on, I think the music. Yeah. So let's see what point the music kicks in. Ba, ba, ba. Ooh, I love that noise. Okay. So right there. So from that point onwards, it was totally, there was no music. And I think I told Ethan, once you introduce music in the previous section with the piano and the record and everything, I told him, I feel like we got to keep that going. And that was kind of my sneaky way of being like, let me compose the music for that. Let me do the music for that. Which thankfully, fortunately, he let me do. Thankfully, he liked what I did and he put it in. I can't even remember when I asked if I could do it, or if I just said, "Hey, I'm going to give you this. Use it if you can, or if you want, or throw it away. I don't care." Yeah, and I think that's how that happened. And so, this piece that I'd written was actually for a different movie. If you know anything about Doom Productions, you know that last year we were gonna make a feature film. We were gonna do it the correct way, and that ended up not happening because of COVID. So I had all this music composed for it, and when it came time to, it was a little bit different. But when it came time to do the music for House, I thought, there's a kind of driving force behind this piece that I think would fit really well in House, and I'm not going to do this other movie, at least not for a really long time. So I thought, I'll repurpose this and I will change things up because it's actually very different than the original version. That's why it says Simon Follows up top. That was the name of the other movie we were going to do. But yeah, and that's kind of how this piece came to be. So what happens in GarageBand when you compose to it, this is usually what I do, which is kind of a pain in the butt, is I will compose the score, I'll work on the music, and then what I'll have to do is I'll have to jump between the video editing software and GarageBand, and I have to time it up right, which is a pain. With GarageBand, you can open a movie in GarageBand. So let me show you what that looked like. Might take a minute or two to load everything. Let's see if there's any. I think it's in downloads. Where are you? Where'd House go? Oh, you know what? I have to sort. I'll just search House. Open. So it loads. This is the really cool thing about GarageBand, and I'm sure I can hear all the real composers out there kind of laughing, haha, use GarageBand, blah blah blah. I'd say that's fine. That's all fair game. I don't consider myself to be an amazing musician. I took guitar lessons for a really long time. I can play guitar, bass, drums, ukulele, little piano, but I really don't consider myself to be like, I can't read music, can't write it, don't know a whole lot about music theory. I know very basic music concepts that all musicians know, but I'm not like the music guy. It's something I love and I'm really passionate about, but it's just not my thing. And my philosophy with music is kind of the way I was taught, which is, most people, when they learn an instrument, they don't want to learn Beethoven or Bach, or, they don't want to play all their scales. They don't want to learn all that music theory. They just want to be able to jam out with a Taylor Swift song. And that's how I was taught it. So my thing was, I picked the song that I wanted to learn, and I would learn whatever music concept I needed to learn to be able to learn that song. So it was kind of self-guided, self-taught in a way, but really, I had someone teaching me, and that's how I teach music to other people. And that's my philosophy when it comes to film composing. I think it's a fun, creative thing that if you're a filmmaker, you should be able to know how to do if you really want to. If you want to create a score for your movie, but you don't know what exactly, I think GarageBand is a great tool for people who don't know anything about music whatsoever. That's my soapbox. Let me get back to the music or the movie. So, as you see here, what GarageBand can do is it will play the movie along with the file. So what I did was, usually I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but what I did was I just took this stuff and I started composing around here when the music actually starts. And what's great about this is it'll actually play sound from your video track. So it's kind of quiet. Yeah, you can hear that. So it'll actually play bits from your movie if you drop it in there. And that's how and so it was really cool. This is the very first time that I was able to compose directly with the movie playing, have it synced up exactly how it's going to be. That was really awesome. Side note, it was not actually lined up in the movie exactly how I envisioned at all. But we'll get into that we'll get into that now. So the first thing is, this isn't beef or anything, or T, against Ethan or anything. He's a great editor and everything. But I believe, so the music starts there in this close-up. It's supposed to start in this close-up. That was the start point. That's when the first thing was supposed to drop. But what ended up happening was from this point on, I was composing it for the movie, to the movie. But this editing montage scene, when it gets really crazy, wasn't totally done yet. So what I had to do was eventually, I think up until about here in the track, so about measure 73 or so. No, it would have been this measure right here, 75. Up until that point, it was scored to the movie. And this break with all these drums down here, that was scored to the movie. But everything in between, Ethan was editing, and what he told me was just extend out the piece for however long, just for a long time. And what I'll do is I'll edit to that instead, and I'll cut it up and that kind of stuff. So this middle section wasn't, it was originally going to be scored to the movie, but it ended up going the opposite direction, where Ethan just had me extend this really long, and he was like, I'll cut it up and I'll change it, and because he was still working on that final montage. So that's how it kind of, in the end, it didn't all quite match up, but again, that was just the process of how the editing worked. But let's see if there's anything else before I move on. Other tidbits, since we're talking about this right now. So this section right here, speaking of parts that don't match up. Let me fast forward here. But it's really entertaining for me to... Okay. So this part of the movie, you'll notice something. This part, what's playing is going on right here with just this bass, measures 40, about 40 or 50 to here. So that piano drop right here was not supposed to play right there. This is where it was supposed to play when he turns his head. Right there. Right there. And then it would cut out right there. So then it would go back to this. So turns head, looks around, and then it's just silent. So the idea was that musical moment was when he looks around, that's when it was supposed to be really loud and blaring. And again, this is not me complaining. It's just, I think it's an interesting tidbit, because you can see how little things you plan don't work out, but they still, the movie doesn't suffer. The movie is the movie and it still works totally fine. Right there, that piano beat right here where it's that thumping bit, that came in too early, or I keep saying it came in too early. It's exactly how Ethan wants. So it's perfect how it is. But I envisioned that the driving piano starts here. So this part, it's all like just the bass going, and then right here, that moment would cue up with this moment right here when he sees the doppelganger, Ethan. This is all, and then, but I will say that the moment where Ethan screams right here, and it's just that drum beat, that heartbeat, until that final piano stuff, that is all synced up how it was originally envisioned. Okay, enough about boring tidbits about what was supposed to be and what wasn't supposed to be. Let's just take a look at these tracks. So if you know anything about me, you know that I really, really love Philip Glass as a composer for film in general. Love him. I am a huge fan of like that minimalist, repetition kind of based scores and soundtracks, and just music in general. I love the idea of taking a theme and changing it slightly, and messing with the dynamics, messing with throwing stuff in and out, and kind of, playing with music that way. And that's kind of how this whole thing is based. So the entire bass part, just isolating it, is the exact same part repeated. Whenever you're hearing bass, it's just the same thing over and over. There's two tracks here because this black thing, this little, I guess it's dark greenish, that thing right there, that is the sustain. And this is a weird quirk that I'm probably just too stupid to figure out the real reason of why. If I cut the track here, there would be no sustain, so the bass would just be boop, 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 boop. It'd be like, what's that called? Pizzicato? Staccato? See, I'm not a musician. It's one of those, it's a short cut off note. And I didn't want that. I wanted it to ring out. So that's why, and if I cut that out, it would be, staccato or pizzicato, whatever it's called. And so that's why there's two tracks for the bass. The piano is more or less the same thing. So this piano track is all the same. It's these two, that riff. So just that section right there. Ba-ba-ba. Repeat that. It's just this bit repeated throughout the entire song. Whenever you see this piano track, it's all that is repeated. And that's what I consider to be like the foundation of the song. Because like I said, my music is really based on melody, and that's not the right word for this. It's based on like repeating the same thing. So setting something as a foundation and building off of that. And so I considered the bass in this piano to be the foundation of this song. And so really what happens is it just repeats, and it's this real driving kind of force for the movie, for the song. And so kind of what's happening is it's building and building and building with that theme going on through here. But then what happens here is it does something interesting. It has an effect on you when you suddenly remove that foundation of the song, and then you're just left with this crazy kind of piano stuff. This is probably what sounds the most fake in the movie, is the really, really fast piano stuff. Let's see. That sounds all right. So we have this kind of, single, a couple notes going on top of the main theme right here. So it's really gentle, not a whole lot of notes going on. And then it starts to build along with the song. And they're playing at the same speed. Geez, is it 8 notes? What is this? So that's where obviously it speeds up. And then this is just ridiculously fast, and it's just all craziness right here. So again, we're building and getting faster with these two secondary piano tracks. I kind of thought of this in terms of guitar, like if you're a guitar player, this is like the rhythm, and this is like the lead. That's kind of how I thought of this. I know I can hear all the musicians laughing. Again, I'm not a real musician really, but that's how I kind of thought of it. And so let me. Sorry, I have to do math. I'm so bad at math. I don't know if it's eighth notes, but it's playing essentially this part. It's playing at the same speed as the main riff. So if we just isolate those two parts. Oh, I guess it's not. It's a little bit different, but you know what I mean. It's kind of, it's catching the lead part is catching up to the rhythm part. And then here, once it gets all crazy, we pull out the foundation to give it that kind of weird effect. And this is during the apple eating stuff. Because I knew, you know, again, something you can do as a musician is if you just have the same part repeating, just play with the dynamics. See what happens if you take that core foundation bit out, see what happens if you add it back in. I knew it was all going to be building. So right here, you know, I knew that's about where you would see the climax of everything, all the images. It'd be super, super crazy. This is where I would throw everything in. So I find that when you're composing, you don't always want to put everything, you don't want it all out immediately. Sometimes you do, but for this thing, I thought it would be better to build to that point. So let's look at and again, all of those piano pieces here, the really fast and crazy stuff, a lot of that done, if you're looking at the score right here, you can see there's a lot going on. GarageBand is great at a lot of things. One of them, if you don't have a piano, an actual keyboard to plug in, which I have a keyboard, but I can't plug it in. I don't have a MIDI cord or anything. You can play it as best you can on the musical typing tool. So I'm just literally playing that on my keyboard, my computer keyboard. But what I do is then you can come into here and you can cut and you can paste and you can add in music, or you can write in the score too. So this is technically the score. I don't know what any of this means, but yeah. So that's that. The Erhu, I don't know how to pronounce it. I wanted a solo violin, but GarageBand doesn't have a solo violin. So this was the next best thing that I could have. And it's super, super high pitch. Because everything else thus far has been super kind of low, with the exception of some of the piano stuff. And so I wanted something that was really kind of high and screeching and kind of, you know, it adds to, you know, just the chaos of everything. That was the idea for throwing that in. There's 2 Erhu tracks. I don't know why. And I didn't use a secondary one, so I'm going to delete that. Cool. Save some clutter there. Next I have the choir. And right here I did a trick. So you can't, the choir, you have to really fidget around in GarageBand with the choir settings. So there's a trick though, where if you add ambience, a lot of ambience and a lot of reverb to your choir stuff, and you have to play it on the right spot. So sometimes if I go, that sounds totally fake, which might be what you're going for. That also sounds kind of fake. You have to find the sweet spot on the keyboard. But once you find the sweet spot, once you add the ambience and reverb, duplicate the track. And if you can see right here, I have shifted one track all the way to the right side of the speakers and the other track on the left side of the speakers, all the way on the left. And I've just duplicated those bits. And it makes it sound a little bit more realistic. Not by a whole lot, but it's just a little thing that can really go a long way. And that's what I got going on there. And then I did the same trick with the orchestra kit. It's just the same part repeated. And you see I have it all the way on the right and all the way on the left. And it's just the steady drum beat that's going on with this I don't know what kind of drum that is, but that's what I got going on there. So you see that kind of heartbeat is this driving force behind the second half of the song. And yeah, that's really all the tracks there are here. As I kind of said, it was designed to fit the music, fit the movie, then it wasn't, then it was. But pretty much musically, I really wanted to start off with the foundation of this kind of riff, this piece, and build it in and make it bigger and bigger and bigger until then it all cuts out. And then the piano comes in at the very end and it's like, whoosh, movie's done, curtain call, that kind of thing. So that's the score. I hope that was interesting to people. If you made it this far, congrats on listening to someone who's not a musician talk about music. Yeah, but thanks for watching. If you have any other questions or any other things you want us to talk about in terms of music, because that's something we haven't really touched on a whole bunch, please leave a comment down below. Let me know, because there's a lot I could talk about. I just don't know what I should cover or if that would be interesting to people. So yeah, anyways, thanks for watching this breakdown of the House score. Thanks for supporting it. 1,000 views, it's awesome. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.